What's up? Welcome back to the MindShare Podcast. So, I just got back from Realtor Quest. This is the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board's conference and trade show that they host once a year at about mid-May every single year. We've been going for 20 years. It's a massive event, like absolutely massive. It's got to be probably the largest real estate conference and trade show in North America at this time. Used to be NAR. I don't think NAR is as big anymore. Anyhow, thousands of agents. In fact, I was told that there were over 15,000 agents or people registered, and that number didn't even account for all the people that just showed up and registered on site. Huge trade show, which they expanded to additional halls this year. Biggest one they've ever had yet. Tons of speakers, tons of booths, tons of conversations. I mean, the energy was awesome. And we saw so many people came up to say hi, and it was so good to see everybody. And for 2 full days, there were thousands of people running around looking for answers, looking for ideas, looking for opportunities, looking for some magical thing that's going to finally help them break through. Plus, I was on stage both days. We had our booth there. I was actually a guest on the Trev podcast with their president, Daniel Steinfeld. Awesome dude, good buddy of mine. And I talked to a ton of people over those 2 days. And straight up, there's something specific that came up which just made me think like, what the? And it had nothing to do with other speakers, even though there's some other speakers that make me think, what the? It wasn't about the overall event or anything. Of course, when it came to the booths, there was some booths there that we thought like, what the? The technology thing is obviously where we're at these days, so a lot of AI stuff. But it wasn't that. And it wasn't really about the fact that like the market itself isn't doing what people want it to do. It was this one thing, this one sentence that this one lady said to me. This is episode number 386. So this lady comes up to me after one of my talks. Super nice, like super happy. She was talking about how much she loved the session, how motivational it was, how much she learned. She wanted to take a picture together, and like we did it. Like, the whole thing. And look, I appreciate that stuff. I really do. And I'm grateful that people connect with what I say. But as she was walking away, I said to her, just make sure you actually do the work. And without even pausing, she goes, as she's walking away, she turns back, she looks at me, she goes, I don't know. Let's see what happens. And I can't tell you, like I've been seriously thinking and wondering about that ever since. And we're like a week removed now. Truly working to come up with not just an answer for why somebody would be so careless with their own self, but to come up with a solution for how to help this person. Because I think that one moment pretty much sums up this entire industry. Actually, probably most industries. It's not just a person. It's people in general. Think about it. We love information. Like we really love it. There's people that love to read. There's people that obviously, like you, listen to podcasts. We watch a ton of video these days when we're thinking about this, the scroll and the social media. Here at conferences, people will go and attend and the whole thing of like reading famous quotes from famous people and going to trainings and, going to seminars and watching webinars and, like all these AI things that you can do and you can prompt and you can ask questions, you can learn. And, did I mention the social media with the Instagram reels? I mean, we love consuming. We do it all the time. Hell, you're doing it right now. And for some reason, consuming always feels productive. It feels like movement. You walk out of an event, you're all fired up, your notebook's full of notes, and the phone's full of pictures of slides and all sorts of stuff, and you got goals, you got big plans, you're all excited. And then, of course, Monday comes, and of course, almost nothing changes. And that right there is really what most people struggle with. The good idea, the motivation, and then a complete lack of action. And the big question is, why? You know how many people I talked to at Realtor Quest that already knew what they should be doing? Almost all of them. In fact, at about the halfway point of my talk, after I had everybody fired up and learning, I stopped. And I told everybody exactly that. You all knew this when you first walked in. But you also know you haven't been doing enough about it. And look, once I called it out, it was like, nobody was sitting there looking at me going, geez, I wonder if I should follow up more, or like, I wonder if I should stay in touch with my database. And I wonder, this consistency thing, does it really matter? Posting content, that's a new idea. Nobody was wondering about that stuff. Everybody knows. They know. And that's what's wild to me. That's actually what I personally noticed a long time ago. Okay, most people talk, rarely do any actually walk. And when it comes to achieving more success in anything, you need to walk the walk. You can't just talk because it doesn't get you anywhere. And the biggest gap that most people have is in actually doing, like getting the work done, actually making something happen. The repetition it takes, the follow-through that it takes, the boring stuff that you got to be doing when nobody's watching, and that's the type of stuff that nobody wants to be doing. The stuff that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, where you procrastinate, you want to push back, you don't want to sit down and do it. And it's all that stuff that nobody comes up to you and says, hey, great job, you're doing amazing, keep it up there. See, that's the difference. That's where that separation begins to happen between people who will do the stuff, that will grind it out when nobody's watching, without the glory, without the money, because they got a bigger goal, a bigger picture in life. They know that the work they do now, the stuff that's not bright and shiny, the stuff that's not getting you all excited, that's the work. That's what it takes. And listen, I get it. Doing the work, it's not exciting most of the time. Making those calls when nobody's answers, it's not exciting. It sucks. Following up with somebody for the fourth time when nothing's happening, like it's not exciting. Entering contacts into your CRM at 10 o'clock at night after a long day, it's not exciting. Recording content consistently when barely anybody engages with it at first, it's not exciting. Time blocking your schedule, planning for tomorrow, not exciting. Tracking numbers. I mean, quite frankly, I don't know why I'm bringing that one up. To me, that one's exciting. And yeah, when the numbers aren't where you want them to be, it's not as exciting. But like, when you're doing what you got to be doing, you're really trying to work to achieve, and you see those numbers, that scoreboard of yours that's continuing to climb because you keep scoring more runs, let's call it, putting more points on the board, that's exciting. But I get it. Most people, when it comes to that idea of tracking numbers, data, metrics, accounting, not exciting. Practicing. How am I going to do a better presentation? What am I going to do on my next cold call? What am I going to do on my next door knock? What am I going to say to my next follow-up? Rehearsing, role-playing, practicing. Not exciting. It's not as exciting as being live, obviously. It's not exciting being in the trenches getting stuff done. How about staying organized? Staying organized takes time. It takes effort. It takes actual planning. It takes, looking ahead and going, where am I going? What do I have to be doing? Not exciting. Like, none of this stuff that I just mentioned, none of it feels sexy. And that's probably why most people don't stick with it long enough to see what happens. That's why most people give up on anything in life, because most of the process is not exciting. And that's exactly where people screw themselves up. We leave these events that we go to, which we've made time to go to, and we try to change everything all at once. People start looking, going, oh my God, that one speaker told me I've got to be better at my scheduling, so I'm gonna start being better at my scheduling. And that means I'm gonna have a new morning routine, and there's gonna be a new version of me every time I wake up, and I'm gonna join the 5 a.m. club. I'm not knocking the 5 a.m. club, but I'm saying, for those people that never used to get up that early, that all of a sudden decide they're gonna get up that early, not exciting, right? And probably not gonna work. Why? Because it's too much too fast. You were there at the show when you got an idea about, implementing a new CRM system, or you got something about a new AI system, or a new something that's going to help you automate something system, or whatever system. You want to integrate that. Oh, speaking of AI, you took one of the 17 million AI courses that were offered at the event, because everybody's got to talk about AI now. Because if you want to get on a stage, you got to talk about AI. If you're not talking about AI, I mean, hey, we're talking about AI right now. AI. And if I say AI enough times, maybe this show will go viral because we're talking about AI. Joking. Totally joking. And we have spoken about AI. We will talk more about AI. And I'm not saying that you should learn about AI, but like all this new technology, all these new bright, shiny ideas. Oh, did you get the new content strategy as well? And you must have completely overhauled your goals. I mean, think about how much actually happens, how much you consume when you go to an event like that. Booth after booth after booth, aisle after aisle after aisle, speaking sessions galore that you could choose from, the main stages, the smaller rooms. There's so much learning to be done. And quite frankly, I know maybe I sound like I'm putting a negative spin on that. I am not. It is, in fact, an incredible, incredible environment to be a part of for a day or 2 days when you're at the right show, because you can take in a lot. But again, that whole thing of trying to leave and change everything all at one time, not going to happen. Like it's just not reality. And I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is that you've got such a big list of things that you came away with that actually none of it gets done. It's just too overwhelming. Or maybe you do it for 3 days, maybe a week if the motivation hangs around long enough, but slowly, things just kind of, go back to normal. And that right there is why shrinking the goal matters so much. But I don't think people truly understand the why behind that. I don't think people get it. I know for myself, when we talk about goals, and I tell everybody, I want you to think, and we've heard of this before, the BHAG, right? The big, hairy, audacious goal. I encourage you to think big. I encourage you to push beyond your limits, to push beyond what you believe is even possible. I encourage it. In saying that, if you and I were going to sit back today and decide we are going to climb Mount Everest, if we're sitting at the bottom of that mountain at this very moment, and let's do this together, right? We're down at the bottom of the mountain. Let's picture it. Now, together, we're going to look up to the top of the mountain. Wow. I can't even see it. Can you? Got the clouds. Got the weather. This thing is huge. Yeah, we're not going to try to climb this in one day, are we? Now you get it? We can't climb that in one day. We got to break it down. Tiny little chunks. And so I say to you, we're not going to climb this entire thing in one day. Don't worry. We're just going to try to get to there, that point right there. You can see it? Yeah, I could see it. You think you can get there? Yeah, that looks very doable. Great. Let's just work for that today. See, the mindset around it, the perception around it, the way we feel about achieving it, about doing it, when it's way too massive and there's way too much, we actually push back. However, when we start to actually compartmentalize it, break it down, and put it into its smallest form, right, these bite-sized chunks, everything becomes a lot more manageable, a lot more doable. We become more motivated to get it done. The reason shrinking the goal matters is because consistency only starts when something becomes realistic enough to repeat it. When you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're busy, when you're frustrated, when you're discouraged, when you're overwhelmed, when you're simply not in the mood. Look, anybody could get stuff done when they're fired up. Anybody, right? That stuff's easy. But the real test, the real challenge, can you still do it on a random Tuesday when nobody's watching and nothing exciting's happening? Because that right there, that is where goals get accomplished. That's where you achieve. That's where businesses get built. It doesn't happen at the conferences. It doesn't happen while you're taking notes. It doesn't happen while you're posting pictures on your social media after the event to go, look at all the people I saw. It comes down to the reps. How many times can you do it and do it and do it, no matter what? Until it just starts to become part of, how you operate. All right. Time to take a quick commercial break. This episode of the MindShare Podcast is brought to you by Kits Keep in Touch Systems. If you're in real estate and you're not yet using Kits to help you follow up, then you're leaving money on the table. And REM, Real Estate Magazine, Canada's go-to for news, insights, and what's actually happening in the Canadian real estate industry. And hey, while you're listening, head over to MindShare101.com and grab your free Ultimate Marketing Bundle. And if you're ready to take things to another level, coaching, group training, momentum, reach out. All right, let's get back into it right now. So, here's what I'd actually challenge you to do after listening to this. And I'm this is not about just motivation, okay? This is about practicality. First, I'm going to challenge you. Stop consuming for 30 days. Seriously. Don't read a new book. Don't even listen to a new podcast. You can even bank these ones. I mean, listen, if you want to sneak a MindShare podcast in there, I mean, go for it, but no, but seriously, no new podcast, no new webinars. Don't do any new trainings. Don't do, I'm going to read a new book of, top 5 ways to generate new leads or something, or watch videos about it. You've already got enough information sitting in your head right now to improve your business. You have it. What you probably don't have is enough repetition around the basics. That's what I'm saying. For the next 30 days, pick one thing. Just one. One that you already know you should be doing, and just hammer that shit out. Look, maybe it's, I got to make 5 phone calls a day. Maybe it's every single day for the next 30 days, and we can leave the weekends out if you want to. So we talk about 5 out of 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a row. I'm going to do my follow-up. I'm going to make sure that I follow up with at least, 3 people. And I'll tell you very quickly, if you take your contact list that you have in your CRM and you multiply it by 3, because we want you to make 3 active touch points to those people in a year, and then you divide it by 260, we'll leave it all the weekends out. It's going to break down for you exactly how many people to be calling a day. And I'm telling you, it's probably going to end up at 2, 3, maybe 4. You're not going to need to call 12 people a day. I'm telling you right now. Do the math. Okay? Do what I just mentioned to you. But maybe it is that daily follow-up. Maybe it's adding 1 new contact into your CRM every single day. I mean, can you imagine if you added 1 new person? That's 365 new people a year. Maybe your thing was, hey, I want to have a better online strategy, a better online presence. I want to have a better content strategy. So maybe I'm going to record 3 videos a week for the next 4 weeks in a row because I want to get my reps in. I want to get consistent with that. Maybe it's about birthday cards or thank you cards or handwritten notes to people. I'm gonna be really consistent with that. Or, hey, maybe it's your scheduling. And I'll tell you right now, if you're not good at scheduling and you're not tracking your time and you don't know where you need to be and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off and you always feel overwhelmed and like there's never enough time and there's too much to do and all that other stuff, then maybe it's that. And I'll tell you, if you're not good with that, I'm going to encourage you to make it that. In fact, everything I said on this list falls into what should or could be done, but I'm telling you to pick one, not all of them. Because I just rhymed off 6 or 7 things. I mean, maybe it's something else, whatever. But pick one thing and stay on it long enough for it to actually become part of your life. And remember, they say it takes about 66 days to build a habit. So I'm going to say to you, you got to stick this thing out, not even for 30 days, but over 60 days. In fact, it's got to get to 90 days. And then it's got to get to 120 days. And all of a sudden, are you starting to feel the overwhelm yet? Are you starting to feel like, oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot. Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying to you right now. Shrink it down. We're going to focus on the first 30 days. We're going to make this goal so small, all you need to do is focus on that. In fact, I'm going to take it further for you. 30 days may be the big goal. Remember, the top of the mountain? But we're going to break it down and we're going to say, listen, focus on it for tomorrow. Just tomorrow. One day. And when you get that one day out of the way, focus on the next day. One day. Take it one day at a time. Now, the second thing I'm going to suggest to you here. Schedule your execution before your education. Okay? Schedule your execution before your education. And this one is one that again, at the event hit me hard, right? Think about it. People schedule to go to the conference. And maybe this is you. You schedule to actually be there. You know what day it is. You schedule to be there. You schedule showings. You schedule listing presentations. You schedule to attend training. You schedule an upcoming coaching call. Schedule a webinar. All that gets scheduled. But here's what doesn't get scheduled usually. It's the time to actually implement. Most people don't actually schedule time for, they don't block time to make phone calls. They don't block time to do follow-up calls. There's no time to work on the CRM, to clean it up, to add people to the database, to add missing contact information. There's no content creation time. Now, if learning has a spot on your calendar, but execution doesn't, that is a problem. Because you're constantly consuming, like we talked about off the top, we consume. But where's the action? Where's what you're actually going to do with that consumption? And that's why I say again, schedule execution before education. I don't mind the education. I mean, I constantly learn. And right now, as you listen to this podcast, you are learning. And you should pat yourself on the back for that because that's a big thing. We're constantly in learning mode. Amazing. It's just we need to implement, right? Otherwise, we're just a bookworm. We're not going to find the success we want. We got all this knowledge, but we're doing nothing with it. Again, there's the problem. So what I'm trying to encourage you to do here is, hey, you did your learning, you did your studying, but now you need to take it and run with it. You got to pick that one thing and you got to put it into action. And the third one here, got to create some form of accountability, right? We have to create some form of accountability. We have to, because if you're left on your own to do stuff, most people negotiate with themselves, and they do it constantly. Yeah, I'm going to get to it later, or I'll get to it tomorrow, or you know what? I'm going to start on Monday. We always hear that one, right? I'm going to start on Monday. Like Monday's some big, reset point. And I mean, I understand the psychology behind it, but, people worrying about being too busy today. Look, you need visibility. You need to be able to see what's going on. You can't just think about it in your head. And how many times have people said that, right? Yeah. No, I know. Oh, yeah, I know what I got to do. Yeah, I know what the numbers are. Yeah, I know what's going on. Look, I don't think you're any different. You must have those voices in your head too, okay? And I know that that might have made me sound very, very crazy. But seriously speaking, we all have them, right? We all have that talk to ourselves, that the mind is wheeling, that difference of opinion sometimes when we don't know what the right answer is and we're sort of debating in our minds. I mean, you get what I mean when I say that, right? To keep it all bottled up in our heads, we got so much swirling around up there, it becomes very difficult to get it all sort of, again, like in order. To really track and go, hey, where are you at in the moment? And then when the brain is actually not in a good moment, it doesn't even focus on that stuff. That's why, again, we need the visibility. Somewhere to track. If I'm looking at goals, I need a goal tracker. And I use one. I know we give one to our coaching clients, every single one of them. Right? Visibility. I mean, hey, this is why coaching exists. Right? We're here to see things that you don't see. We're here to call things out for you that you're not calling out for yourself. We're here to have the tough conversations. We're here to have the strategic conversations. We're here to deal with your challenges and turn them into solutions and action and success. Right? That's visibility. Having a partner maybe it's a loved one. Maybe it's a business partner. Maybe it's a best friend. Somebody that'll tell you the truth. Maybe you're part of a team and you got a team leader, or maybe the brokerage you're with has a really, really amazing manager or broker owner that is on top of you all the time. Hell, I know people that just use the whiteboard in their office. They'll put up a whiteboard in their office and just literally use that, or sticky notes, something. Something that you can look at and see every single day. And in fact, the process that we use here with MindShare 101, very simply put, you get a goal tracker. We help map out the goals. We teach you how to schedule so you can actually map the goals into the schedule so that then the schedule is basically lined up based on what your goals are. Well, not basically lined up, like is lined up. That's the idea. What you get up to do every single day is specifically based on the goals that you have. And therein lies the execution again. There's the process. And we know that it works. We see the successes. What I'm saying to you right now is we need visibility. We need some form of accountability that's going to keep us on track. Something that forces you to look at whether you actually did the work or not. Not whether you thought about doing it. Not whether you intended to, but like whether you actually did it. Now, for me personally, and I just mentioned about the coaching clients, right? We have a goal tracker and we teach with the scheduling. Personally speaking, that's exactly what I do. I use my goals, I use my schedule, and I use my team. I've also got my mentors that I talk to. And that right there is the accountability system I've created for myself. My goals, I can see them every single day. That's my scoreboard. My schedule, that's my roadmap. When are you doing what you're doing? Just like recording this podcast at this very moment. I use my team, who's constantly paying attention to what we all have to be doing, what's got to be done in the business, and what I've got to be doing. And of course, my mentors, who every single time that, I might fall off a little bit or I might have a little bit of seed of doubt or a challenge, they're right there to either help me, lift me up, and or kick me in the ass. But that's how we keep being consistent. That's how we keep executing. And that's what I'm suggesting you do. Because again, that right there, that's the form of accountability. That's the visibility. That's the places that we actually look at so we know what we're doing. And I'll tell you something else I noticed at Realtor Quest. You can almost predict who's actually going to change. And it's got nothing to do with how excited people are. It's just the fact that, the people who actually execute, they ask different questions. They're a lot more specific about what they're looking for. There's less fantasy and hope and a dream, and there's less hype around it. It's just there's a lot more practicality to the way they think and the way they do things. Questions like, when people are really thinking, they're asking you something like, how would you structure this? Or I'm dealing with this challenge, what should I prioritize first? Or here's what I am doing, or here's the problems, what would you stop doing? Or, hey, I love what you said about the scheduling. How much time do you think I should block for X? Or even things like if you say to people, I want you to meet one new person a day. I want you to do your follow-up every day. And people come up and they're like, so can you break that down and help me see, what does that look like in a real week of mine? I mean, those people, the ones asking those questions, those people got a shot. See, because they're already thinking beyond the motivation. They're thinking about the implementation. And that right there, that's a big, massive difference right there. Look, at some point, another conference isn't going to help you. Okay, it's not the solution. Another book won't help you. Hell, another podcast won't help you, and another video won't help you. I mean, they're all helpful. It's not that, they don't help. And hey, you know it. I love those things. I read every single day. We've got our podcast, this podcast right here, which airs every single week, Fridays, syndicates everywhere. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm literally recording this right now, so I don't want to tell you these things don't work. It's just that eventually there comes a point where the answer is no longer in you gathering more information. It's in finally applying what you already know. And deep down, most people already know exactly what they should be doing. People just keep hoping there's another answer that sounds a hell of a lot easier. But there usually isn't. Don't just talk. Okay? Don't just talk the talk. Actually walk the walk. Because the people who do, they're the ones who look at you and wonder, how did you do it? Reality? They just actually did it. I'm David Greenspan, reminding you to build MindShare because MindShare equals market share. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next week.